Hello, sweet squatties. I'm Deanna of the Love Wins Movement channel on YouTube, where love always wins and you, the Sussex Squad, are always welcome. I wanted to take a few moments today to talk about the breaking news from yesterday that English actor Hugh Grant had regrettably settled his claim or lawsuit against The Sun, and what that resolution could mean for the outstanding claims being pursued by Prince Harry, Elton John, and all the others pursuing accountability for the unlawful acts committed by Murdoch publication staff. So let's see if I can unpack the unfairness of the UK legal system for you all, because it certainly is not favorable to individuals, even the most privileged individuals like Hugh Grant, Elton John, and Prince Harry.
I was going to use the word forced or compelled to describe, having read Hugh's lengthy thread about what happened yesterday. He I think that's a fair word, isn't it, Evan? He feels forced to accept a huge financial settlement from News Group.
Yes, because quite clear someone in his position, given his history of campaigning on this and putting it firmly above the parapet to be shot at by Rupert Murdoch's newspapers and their allies in the media, wouldn't be shy otherwise of going to court and having his day in court and taking his chances on proving his case. But as he set out in his statement yesterday, the rules of court, the cost rules, which are there to prevent court time being used when you can get the remedy, means that if they offer an amount of money that he simply can't beat in court, then the rules require him to be liable for all his own side's costs, which otherwise he wouldn't be liable for, and News Group's costs, and I suspect their lawyers are rather more expensive than Hugh Grant's lawyers, from the point at which the offer was made until the end of the trial. And that's been estimated, he says, to be £10 million, and I don't think that's far off. And although he's a wealthy man, he's clearly not as wealthy as Rupert Murdoch, who can offer him and others what's said to be £1 billion altogether to avoid the cost of this £10 million trial. So yes, he with regret, he said in his statement, he has to take the money, which he says he'll give to charity, and not pay Rupert Murdoch 10 million.
Because
that would be an odd outcome.
Because if the judge hands down damages that are one penny less than the offer that was made to the to Hugh Grant in this case, then the person bringing the case, what's the right word? Is it plaintiff?
Claimant.
Then the claimant, as you say, is on the hook for the entire cost of the entire trial, and you know that would involve the most expensive and costs. So that would be the most expensive lawyers in the world and costs. So, I mean, there's a logic to it, isn't there? In that it means that you get the result without having to expend the court time and energy. But of course, crucially, and this is the bit that the man in the street, and to be fair, Evan Harris, the man in this studio, struggles to get his head around, is that if it was you, if you were the claimant and I was the accused and I gave you 10 million quid to go away in order to essentially avoid going to court, there's no admission of guilt or responsibility.
Yes, there's two. So firstly, in any individual case, I'm not going to argue against the rule that says if you can get justice without using court time and the resources of the court, then you should. And of course, it curtails the case so lawyers get paid less. And so generally, it's a good idea to have a way of ensuring that settlement can be reached. But here you've got to look at the bigger picture, because there have been, and this is public domain knowledge, at least 1,600 settlements, at least 1600 settlements of this type, which according to people who've looked at the accounts of News Corp and News UK, which publishes The Sun now, has cost upwards of £1 billion, that's £1,000 million, in order, news groups say, to avoid the costs of a trial, which is 10 million. So they could have paid for, on my rough calculations, 100 trials which they say they want to avoid the cost of by reaching a settlement, because they put out a statement yesterday and they said both sides felt that it would be in their commercial interests not to take this to trial. But I don't think that's true. It's certainly true for Hugh Grant, but it's not in the interests more generally of Rupert Murdoch, I believe, to have these cases tested, because all he has to do, because he's made complete denials of anything to do with the Sun being illegal, and Hugh Grant's claim, because he'd sued the News of the World earlier, is only to do with the Sun. So he could have, for £10 million, Mr. Murdoch had a trial, found that his defence was correct, there was no illegality at the Sun. He wouldn't have had to pay that 10 million because the claimant would have lost entirely, right?
Yes.
Not beaten an offer, but lost entirely. And then he wouldn't have had to pay this £1 billion. Now, he's a businessman. He must have reasons for not wanting a trial of these issues. And I don't think it takes a great deal of thought to work out why he doesn't want this a judge's ruling on this and witnesses coming to court.
Apropos nothing in particular, I've often read columnists in Murdoch titles suggesting that if you've got nothing to hide, you've got nothing to fear when it comes to investigation and scrutiny.
Are you suggesting there's hypocrisy in the...
Heaven forfend, Dr. Evan Harris. Heaven forfend, clutch away.
Now, I know that was a lot of information to absorb. And in the context of how lawsuits work in other parts of the world, what James and Dr. Harris said makes absolutely no sense. So let's start with the foundation of the UK civil claims system, which is that justice is rendered solely by financial judgment. There is absolutely no value, none, assigned to the losing party being held accountable, being required to admit fault, or simply being found in the wrong. If you are shaking your head in disgust like me, just be grateful that most of us outside the UK have a civil justice system that's based on different values. Now, the other major tenet of the UK legal system as a whole is that the court's time is precious. In fact, it is more precious than actual justice. Yes, again, feel free to shake your head about that one. What it boils down to is this. If the party you are suing offers you a settlement before the actual trial commences and you turn it down, you are assuming a significant financial risk, whether you win at trial or not. The only way you can actually win is if the judge agrees they owe you more than you were offered pre-trial. If the judge thinks you deserve even 1 penny less than you were offered, not only do you get nothing, but you are out all of your legal costs, and you have to pay all of their legal costs, and all of the court fees too. Murdoch is so devious and manipulative that he simply instructs his barristers to offer more than each claimant can possibly hope for. And then the claim goes away, and his staff can keep doing whatever the heck they want. So there's no justice ever against Murdoch, and these are the bedfellows of the royal family, particularly William, Kate, Camilla, and Charles. It's just sickening. So what does this mean for Harry, and even Elton? Let's find out.
I suppose that the question now, or the focus now, turns to Prince Harry, doesn't it? Who was involved in this case, I think, and who is potentially going to be put into a similar position.
Yes, that is true. There's not much I can say about an individual claimant because it's his business. But obviously he's gone on the record on an ITV interview saying he doesn't intend to settle. Whatever we can speculate about his wealth and income, it's not the billions that the owner of Fox and the erstwhile owner of 20th Century Fox has. That's clearly not the case.
Is that it? Hang on, let me interrupt you before you interrupt me. So until someone comes along, and as you say, Hugh Grant's a hugely successful actor, one of the most successful actors of his and indeed any generation. But to just put £10 million on the table, even if he can afford it, is I mean, he's going to stick in his craw. He'll win and have to put £10 million on the table. I mean, you don't need me to explain.
Not just on the table, give it to Rupert
hand
Murdoch.
It over, to give it to Rupert Murdoch. So until someone comes along who is either mad enough or rich enough to think do you know what? I am actually going to spend to get to what I believe to be the truth. I am prepared to give the people that have abused me millions and millions and millions of pounds. Until you get to that point, this is never going to be tried in court.
It does mean, yes, that wealthy corporations, or indeed very wealthy individuals, can buy their way out of ever having a court determination of a civil claim. That is the case, and that is the case here. Now, with the Daily Mail, it's slightly different because their denials have been so vitriolic that it would be the biggest climb down since the descent of Everest for them to ever say we're going to settle with, even without admissions of liability, because they've been pungently rude about, if you look at what they've said about the claims of Baroness Lawrence, Prince Harry, Elton John, and others. I've never seen, and I've seen a lot of these, such strong denials and how this is an outrageous case. And for them to U-turn and start making offers would be the biggest climb down, as I say, in legal history.
That's a really good point. I
wouldn't put it past them.
No, I wouldn't put anything past them. But at what point, when does that push become shove, just in terms of the legal timetables?
A while yet, because we're still awaiting the defences to the particulars of claim, to the claimant's allegations, and then there has to be a discovery stage, and a trial won't be set until some months, or if not 18 months away. So we're watching this.
Well, we'll be speaking again before then. I don't doubt it for a minute. And you probably won't answer this question, but I'll ask anyway. What sort of mood was Hugh Grant in yesterday when you spoke to him? Was he sanguine? I think he saw the writing on the wall for this, perhaps.
Yes, I mean, as he said, he was frustrated because he doesn't want people to think that he would shy at a low hurdle, but he shies at giving £10 million to Rupert Murdoch. And he has said that he will continue to campaign to ensure that justice is done. He just can't do it through this particular claim himself. But he's not the only player, as you've said. And
this ain't over yet. The fat lady has barely drawn breath at this point.
The cliche has not sung, yes.